I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and we're starting our second March game analysis stream where I'm going to be analyzing Carcassonne games that y'all guys sent me. And today we're going to order the games a little bit differently. 3 games as usual, but we will be ordering them in the complexity of the position. So the first game was sent to us by the player with a screen name Belly Van, and they will be our protagonist. And the idea here that this game will have actually very few features. As you will see, there will be one big city and one big field, and that's pretty much it. But of course, a lot of interesting things to talk about. So let's go. Our opponent makes a mistake, which is great. Well, it's not no, it actually is a mistake. I mean, come on, I gotta be honest. Like, just dropping a tile, it doesn't do anything. So even though we are the second player, we are essentially the starting player. They start a road. We start a city in such a way that harasses the road, which is great. They start a city, we will probably continue ours. Yeah, so far so good. Now, if they want to attack our city, they will be forced to restrict their road, which is why they don't. Natural move so far. They're starting a new city. We are about to start a new city. And they are continuing their city. Yes, so far everything's good. Here we probably should take 2 points exactly here, so that in case our opponent draws a curve, this road is broken. We do not want to be leaving empty features on board. So here, I mean, they finish one of their cities. And now comes, I think, one moment where you could have been a bit more ambitious. So I think the move you played is just close your city, which is completely fine. However, just to adhere to the principle of 2 cities, I think a stronger move is to go here and to start a city yourself, like at the same time restricting your opponent's city. And also, as you see, there are only 2 starting tiles remaining. So this square now becomes kind of vulnerable, and let's say we build this and we can attack from here, and this meeple can get blocked completely. Now, I think the idea why you chose to close your own city is that you do not want to leave your city restricted, and that actually is a fine principle in general. You want to violate the principle of 2 cities when one of your cities becomes even slightly vulnerable. But the idea here, Carcassonne is a zero-sum game. If you make this move, then yes, you still have your vulnerable city, but your opponent's city is even more vulnerable. So technically, it's actually good to have one vulnerable meeple if your opponent's meeple is in an even worse position. But it's fine, because it turns out quite well for you. Because, well, either way, your opponent is forced to block himself, essentially, and of course, in the very next move, you do this. And now, we are in a great position. We are at +1, because like +5 and then 4, but we have an extra meeple, and we can do all kinds of things with the extra meeple. And so here, our opponent chooses to take 1 point instead of 2, which I think is a misstep. They should be taking every point that they can get. Actually, let me just look at the chat real second. Too many tabs. Wait, how does this work? Yes, that's how this is work. Hi Vika, hi Bulat, hi Ivan, hi Elias. Alrighty, let's continue. Oh yeah, here, definitely a mistake, because you made a move that doesn't do anything. I see like you want to like get a curve or something and block this square, but this city is already blocked. Also, it's worth only 5 points. It's not like we would need to connect. So sometimes you don't know what to do with a straight road because it's not a super valuable tile. But simple Carcassonne, just start a road. There's still plenty of road ends. I don't know, road here, road here. Both completely fine moves. Starting a road here is not great because your opponent can curve your road into his own ruin. But yeah, really, you just do not want to be wasting tiles. So sometimes just simplest is best. A road is a road is a road, and a point is a point is a point. So they take 2 points instead of taking monastery. Okay, this is great for us. Also, they take 2 points instead of taking 3 points over here, up top, which is a massive blunder. You would normally think that, oh, it's just 1 point, but no, this is considered a massive blunder in a Carcassonne game. And now you make a great move, I think, because you're starting a field with 2 more city caps. It has already 6 points, potentially 9 if this expands, and potentially 15 if all these city caps are finished. And this 15-point field will definitely outcompete this, 5-point ruin. And I think the way this game strategically, basically you should just aim to create a big field and utilize your meeple majority the same way as power play in ice hockey. Okay, I just realized that I forgot to get a second screen, which is why I will be a little bit long in the chat. Hi, Amiras. Hi, Helga. And we're going to continue. They, of course, start a city. Then you do this, which is completely fine. I prefer just taking that 3-point road and starting a road. But that's okay. You made a move that gives you value. Then, of course, you take points. They fight for the field, which is good for you because you should be winning this field fight, right? They now inexplicably waste a tile, completely waste a tile. That's a huge mistake on their part. They had to, well, actually they had to just add it to their own city, because not only it adds points to their city, it actually protects their city a little bit from attack, because this attacking square is restricted. So your opponent is giving you massive, massive gifts. So you utilize one of them, you connect. Now, of course, they continue their ruin. Then finally you start the road. Okay, we do start the road. Now they help you finish the city, which is fantastic. And they are creating this field fight, which, again, you will benefit from because you're at +7. Well, technically you're actually at +3 only because of the 7-point ruin. But again, the meeple majority, that should win you the game no matter what. So let's see how you proceed with that. Okay, take some points. Our opponent just continues as a city, and the city starts being worth something. Now we could probably start a new city. We could drop a farmer somewhere, but let's see what you do. Oh, okay. So this move I really do not like. And you know what? I think you're taking this game strategically in a different direction. Because the whole point of blocking this ruin is to create this majority, right? Your field is now super open. It has 15 points. You have all the meeples in the world to fight for it. And your opponent has only 9 points here. So in order to equalize the field, potentially, your opponent actually needs multiple city tiles, multiple shielded city tiles, which are actually not that likely to happen. And if you look, there is only 1 triple city tile, actually no, 2 triple city tiles remaining, 2 triple city tiles with a field. And the reason why these triple city tiles with a field are so important when planning, because the triple city tiles with a road, as formidable as they may look in your opponent's city, like these guys, they can be used anywhere else to score 2-point or sometimes 3-point roads. So the real tiles that are a potential threat for the future are, well, extenders. Actually, there is 1 more left without a shield, and there are 2 regular triple cities. That's 3 points. And then, okay, there are 2 shielded triangles, but again, 2 shielded triangles with the road. But also 2 shielded triangles with the road is something that your opponent can use elsewhere, perhaps here. So I think, and let's say, I see what you were doing. I think also one of the reasons why I started attacking the city is because it's not like there's a good place to start a city. If you do it here, it's vulnerable. Probably what I would do is maybe just go here and drop a farmer to just continue utilizing that majority and to have 1 or potentially 2 city caps more in the field. 2 because there's still going to be, 2 splitters. Yeah, 2 splitters like this. And for example, if you drop your farmer here, maybe you have a city over here like this, and then later there's another city over here, and then the farm is suddenly not 15 but 21 points. So what you do with this move, you kind of take away your advantage and you change your win conditions completely, and your opponent now has a good shot at coming back in the game. You know how? Straight road, straight road. Even though you have the better odds to connect, because the square is already restricted, your opponent will have blocking attacks. You probably will need to spend some valuable tiles for defending. So I think even though tactically this move works out, strategically it's just taking the game into the wrong direction, and that's, as we will see later, that's where you will experience some trouble in this game. Actually, Bulat is saying, I think in this position you should develop a new field. As who? As red or as blue? As blue, I would agree. As red, I would completely disagree. You have the meeple majority. You are going to win the field. And actually starting a new field, if anything, that sort of helps your opponents a little bit, because if you start a new field somewhere, you take away that meeple majority of yours. Because, and probably the new field is going to be worth like 9 points or something, which is equals to this ruin. So then there was really no point in blocking whatsoever. But okay, our opponent starts blocking, which is great. Again, they should be taking every day of the week the 7-point monastery spots, but we'll be commenting more, of course, on your moves and our opponent moves. Then you're forced to defend, which is good, but still, your opponent has now blocking tiles, right? And like, they have game-winning tiles, essentially. If they draw something like this, then your meeple is stuck in a losing mini-battle, and then they also get a 6-point city, and then they're right back into it. But let's see, they just continue building. You drop a farmer, which is what you should do. All good. They just keep connecting. You could you drop another farmer here? No, maybe it's too early. Because ideally you want to win the farm with a +1 majority, especially now that you've invested another meeple here. Okay, you do drop a farmer. It's fine. Yeah, your opponent, luckily for you, drops another farmer. Oh, no, all good. It's 3-3, right? It's 3-3. The farmer was perfect. Your farmer was absolutely perfect. And you're drawing your opponent into a field battle. Now with kind of running out of space. Yeah, that's all good. Attacking stuff. Okay, your opponent quite conservatively takes his meeple back instead of meepling this new city, which I think is a bit too shy. And now you get bailed out by the tiles. Here you could meeple the road, actually. Or I know that you're going to do this later. But it's okay not to meeple the road either. Then probably here, yeah, you can just drop another farmer. Is that what you do? Yeah, that's perfect for you, because you drop a farmer, you equalize the ruin. Yeah, so far so good. Your opponent takes points. You are taking the road. So you still should be winning this because of your sort of +3 points advantage and the farm. But okay, your opponent now helps you out a little bit. They drop a farmer. I think what they should have done is they should have tried and take this city and then this city again. This would be worth 10 points, because that's the way how they come back into this game. They need to score something that gives them both points and a meeple back, because actually you're about to do the same for the road. But okay, our opponent can do whatever they want. Yeah, you just complete the connection, all good. Now your opponent is sort of forced to continue the connection. Now here, not the easiest position for you. Yeah, no idea what you should do. Maybe, actually no, I think you should actually take this empty city like this, or actually like this is better. Yeah, like this, meeple the city, still plenty of tiles to go here. Because if you don't do that, your opponent does this, and you still have outs to take a meeple back and to take a meeple back here. So even though this ruin looks now quite juicy, I still think, like, had you had one more meeple extra, you would have benefited more from that. And also, this ruin looks juicy only because you've added 4 points into it, so we need not to forget that. But let's continue. Oh, you actually do that. Yeah, well done, well done. So I think many players would be afraid to use their last meeple. And now your opponent comes up with the greediest combination possible. No, wait, I think they're starting a new city up top. Yeah, that's great. And actually here they don't need to use a meeple even. They can just leave it. Or they can take a road or something. Here, not sure what to do. Maybe you go here actually just to break their city and to make sure that if they block you, then their city also becomes vulnerable. You could also go, actually could go here as well, with the idea that it prevents your opponent from doing the thing that they were trying to do, which is actually quite neat. You gotta give them credit for it. Yeah, interesting. So they're both attacking you and defending at the same time. Actually, that's a really strong move. That's a really strong move from them. I really like it. Here, probably you should be doing something like this, just to finish the city before your opponent finishes the city. But let's see what you do. Okay, you finish your roads, which also makes sense, but that also leaves another empty city cap. I think just taking away this 8-point move from your opponent is absolutely crucial. Let's see what they do. They're probably going to take 2 points somewhere, will they? I don't know what they're gonna do, but I know that my board game arena is glitching. Yeah. Okay, who remembers which move number it was? Ivan is saying the pressure in the game was actually based on not losing the field, despite other scoring possibility. It was a strange feeling. Well, yes, I agree. The field was the key to win. Oh, thanks for the reminder, move 102. And, you know, you can be way more confident with the field if you have that extra meeple. But that's really just the one thing I wanted to say in this game. Strategic, planning ahead, win conditions, all that kind of stuff. But actually that's not all. There'll be an interesting situation, as you mentioned in the message when you sent the game to me, towards the end of the game, where there will be another spectacular win condition that doesn't have to do anything with the field. Okay, let's see. Yeah, look, so your opponent, instead of taking 2 points, does something extraordinarily greedy. Basically, they want to save the 1 point. They want to avoid continuing your road and just, like, move into the field like this, which I think is a bit of a waste. They're much better off just taking the 2 points here and then taking 3 points here with a curve and then forcing you to continue your road and bring the farmer in. Because, like, it's something that you're going to do anyway. You're going to need the meeples no matter what, if you want to keep winning. Yeah, you connect to the field. They proceed with their plan. They're also, very fortunately for you, they block the 8-point city, which only they can take because they have a meeple in hand. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, you're eliminating a field connection. This move was really good from you. Now they now completed their master plan, but this also means that you will now have no troubles simply continuing your road, knowing that you're not letting your opponent into the field. Let's see what you can do here. Maybe you can eliminate some sort of field connection. Maybe you can go here to get some value to prevent your opponent from meepling this empty city. Maybe you can go like this to sort of start pre-blocking a field connection, because your opponent could get a monastery here, block your city, connect to the field and win the game. You do this, which actually creates another field connection, but maybe that's what you're thinking. Maybe you're thinking that you're going to get a meeple back and reconnect. Okay, your opponent does take points. We're still technically ahead. This is a huge tile for you. You get one of the 2 road ends, you get a meeple back. Now we couldn't care less about this city because we're still at +9 and we do have the field. So all is good. We don't necessarily even need to win the field. Also, since we're at +9, we can also start thinking about how we're going to win if they win the field. Because if they win the field, they are at +6. Here is a 7-point road, for example. I think taking this road is a little bit too early, but you could consider that as well. The problem with taking this road right now is that your opponent could still get a meeple back by finishing the city here. I mean, it's double-edged. Like, I can definitely see this move working out, but it really depends a lot on the tiles that your opponent has. So let's say if you make something like this, and then you actually have a shot of getting a meeple back, which is pretty cool. Or you could get 2 curves and like get even more points. And let's say if your opponent gets a triangle that you need, maybe you can get a straight road here and block your opponent's meeple. Yeah, so like taking this road is definitely something that should be considered, but I think you don't because you're thinking about the field. Your opponent starts both blocking you and connecting to the field. And here I think we should really think about just forgetting the field and maybe meepling this road or this road. Because check this out. If you're meepling this road, you have 3 outs to get your meeple back. It's very hard to block. And if you do get your meeple back, your opponent can connect to the field, and then you could just meeple another road and win like that. So there are always these alternative win conditions lurking, but let's see what you do. I think you start blocking your opponent, which is also absolutely understandable, but of course they get the tile that they need on the very next move. Now here, again, same situation. By the way, you would have gotten your meeple back already. Maybe here, instead of trying this field connection, for which you only have... Okay, let's see. So you have a 40% chance of getting this city in the first place, but your opponent has 1 blocking tile. So your opponent needs to not draw this tile on your next move. Yeah, okay, so let's just look at the real condition, the win conditions real quick. So if your opponent wins this, that's draws this, that's 20% for a loss. So you have 80% for a win. If that doesn't happen, out of these 80%, only 40 work. So then you would be winning what? You would be winning how much of the time? (32% of the time? Yeah, you would be winning 32% of the time, I guess, unless I'm missing something, which is really not great. I think you have like way better probabilities. Again, we are at +9. Your opponent has connected to the field. We are at -6. Your opponent could, in theory, finish a city. But here's the thing. If your opponent finishes his city, he will have to use this 1 remaining city cap. So essentially, you're hoping for that tile no matter what. So you might as well hope for it in such a way that doesn't give your opponent blocking tiles. Because let's say if you simply take 2 points for a road or something, we're only at -4. I don't know, your opponent, let's say, gets a triangle or at -6. And let's say you get this, you get a road, and we are at +2 and we win. Of course, doing that is much easier when you can see all the tiles, but you can apply the same logic even when you don't see all the tiles. The idea is like there's probably a road tile remaining. I can probably pick up this road. Or, you know, on the previous move, if you do this thing, you take this. You know that if your opponent gets one of these, one of the tile that you need, you're going to still have 2 road ends. And if not, you could possibly loop this road and get a couple of further points. In some scenarios, you actually get the triangle and you can get 1 more point. So yeah, lots of alternative, more high probability win conditions. Yes, thank you for the reminder, Elias. Absolutely meeple the like button for the algorithm. That does help. Yes, and many meeples are blocked and cannot do that. I appreciate that you can. I see that there are currently more likes than views, which is exactly what we want. Somebody's watching from 2 accounts. That's always encouraged. But let's see. Yeah, you do this, and your opponent dumps the monastery. Actually, that was a mistake. They should have gone here, so that you don't get an extra point in case of a triangle. And then you do get the blocking tile for your opponent. Oh no, it's them, it's them. Oh, that was so brilliant of you. You defended, that was you. Oh yeah, that's great move from you, because your opponent did get the blocking tile, but you made the defense. Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome. Yeah, and then you do get the connection and you win the field. And let's see how you won the game. So even though you did get your 32%er, I do think that you may have missed an alternative win condition, and that is taking one of the roads. To quote the former world champion Vladimir Kovalev, never underestimate the importance of roads. So you think you could have gotten better win probabilities for this. Now there's an interesting situation as well, because this city. Wait, how much was this city worth? So the city was worth as much as the field, and that's why you could make an argument fighting for it. But remember, it is worth as much as the field only because you expanded it here and here. So it actually would have been worth 11 points. Plus the field would have been worth more because these city caps would have been in the field, and with your meeple majority, I think you could have had a much easier game for yourself. And at the very end of the game, I think, having recognized that the field turned out to be not as big as you wanted, now that your opponent had a majority there and spent all the resources and sacrificed so many points. Look at that. City cap, crossroads, another crossroads. What else did they use to connect? I mean, city cap, so many good tiles to connect. And actually with these tiles, they probably would have gotten the same 15 points or almost 15 points without any meeple investment. Then you can recognize that you actually don't need to win +5. You can win like +1 or +2, and you can try and take the road as well. Alrighty, hopefully that was somewhat instructive. Do let me know if you were considering the road. Oh yeah, you said you didn't see it in the game. But yeah, this is very often the case that win conditions can switch during the game, because I don't know how many of you were watching my Azul videos, but there's just so many analogies to be made. Like, if your win condition in Azul is a column and your opponent keeps disrupting your column, at some point you should let them, because then you can have a different win condition through complete color or through simple adjacency bonuses or something like that. In Carcassonne is the same thing. If your opponent does everything they possibly can to fight for the field, in all likelihood they can succeed, and then you can like take a road or just build a couple of 4-point cities, and that could be enough. Oh yeah, thanks for pointing this out. 0 points for monasteries. Nobody meepled a monastery, which is criminal, but it's on your opponent, it's not on you. They've used this monastery for blocking, and they did not meeple this monastery as well, so I know that had these road monasteries been in your hands, they would have been put to better use. Alrighty, but we are moving on to our next game, sent to us by the player with a screen name Krupa L, sort of with the question to assess which part of this game was luck and which wasn't. It's actually quite an old game. It's over a year old. So do let me know in the chat like why you chose this game in particular as opposed to a newer game. But there were some interesting moments here. We're in second position, and there's a standard opening with stick the roads into the city. An alternative opening is actually this, which I rather like. Actually, let me put the tile counter here. Then you start a new city, which is all great for us. They continue. Now here, it's an interesting situation. Probably what you should do, I hate to say this, but maybe just finish your city. Oh, no. Start a new one over here. I think you do this, which makes sense. However, if you're going to do something like this, then it's better to point the city cap the other way, because your opponent is more likely than you to draw a city tile. And when your opponent does this, he's going to put it over here, and your city cap is going to be restricted. So basically, in this situation, city cap plus city cap, and there's you, and there's the opponent. If it's your opponent moves, your opponent has the better probabilities of getting something good out of this situation. If it's your move, then you have the better probabilities of getting something good out of this situation. But here's another thing. I've actually started treating these mini battles a little bit differently. So this position, even though technically green cannot build up his city, but you can build up your road, so you are like in a long-term winning mini battle, this position is actually great for green because they have 3 outs with which they can finish the city, and if they do so, your road gets stranded. And your road is quite vulnerable, it doesn't have ends on either sides. So this means that if you're going to do something like this, then you would need to spend tiles and block this square entirely. So that's why a move that you could have considered, I mean, I think better is just starting a new city at the bottom, or if you want to do this, starting a city facing to the right. A move that you could have considered is pointing the city cap the other way and simply equalizing. Even though this square becomes vulnerable, if you do succeed, well then you have roads, you equalize the city. But actually I don't like equalizing like this, again, because it's too risky. So the best thing that you could probably do is like get another triple city or something, then put it over here without a meeple, then get a triple city with a crossroads, or just get a triple city with a crossroads before so that you can get your road meeple back whilst making it harder for your opponent to finish a city. And then you can always re-attack this city from this side or block again. But yeah, these situations can be very tricky to navigate. I mean, what you did in the game makes sense, but I just wanted to show you all these other opening opportunities. Yes, Palat, I know it is you. Your second account screen name is fairly obvious. Yeah, so exactly the thing that I said happens. Your opponent is restricting your city. So that's why a move that I would consider here is going like this, continuing your road indirectly, and at the same time harassing your opponent's city. Let's see if you do that. Oh, you do that. Nice. Yeah, well done. That's a great move. Then your opponent starts breaking your city. Here, a couple things that you can do. You could probably go here or here or here. I probably prefer doing something like this. Yeah, let's see what you do. Yeah, that's really good because you're also cleaning off this square. Your opponent gets a crossroads. You're probably now going to continue your roads. Now they should try connect to your city. Okay, so now your opponent makes a mistake. Which... maybe that was a year ago. That probably was an arena game. I won't comment your opponent's move too much. They're generally an exceptionally strong player. But they do have sometimes like hallucinations and moments of tilt. Because this one, much better is connecting. Like, there's still 3 tiles remaining. Why would you want to give your opponent 2 points and essentially save your city? It looks like blocking, but it will require 2 more tiles to block. And when your opponent starts blocking, you will have at least a 55% chance of defending, and possibly more if your opponent does this with the wrong tile. These blocking situations is the one time where I had these probabilities calculated. All right. Monastery. Fantastic tile for both you and your opponents. They keep blocking you. Okay, this block actually makes sense. This is better because, first of all, there are only 2 tiles remaining here instead of 3. And second, this will be a tempo block because your opponent is going to get a city cap and then create a blocking platform. So your opponent will not have to spend an extra move for creating a blocking platform. Yep, you continue playing. They start a blocking attack, but you get the thing instantly. I would actually meeple this road. You have 3 meeples, and there's still 7 crossroads in the game. Your opponent could get a crossroads and score 4 points. I would just meeple this for defensive reasons, but it looks like you have an advantage here. And for a rare exception, your opponent doesn't meeple a monastery. Okay, now you get the thing. They continue your city, and here, yeah, you should probably go here. Let's see if you do that. Of course, with a meeple. Yeah, with a meeple. Why would you not put a meeple here? You have 3 meeples, and your opponent has 2. And yeah, you have to put a meeple in this situations, because if you don't do it, your opponent will take a city cap and put a meeple. And the thing is, like, because you're ahead already by so much, you're plus 18. Even though your opponent has tiles that can give him 8 points, like, you're still doing very, very well. You see, you have the road here. You're going to get 5 points and a meeple back. The road is virtually unblockable. The much safer move is to do this, because if not, your opponent gets a city cap, meeples, triangle, triangle, and that's it. And your opponent gets 16 points and is right back in the game. I see that maybe you were afraid of blocking or something. But well, if your opponent puts here, then you just stay put. You don't build this side. You connect here. You wait for the right side. If your opponent gets a straight line, then either you equalize with a curve or you do a passive or indirect defense by just building up this square over here. So there are lots of good opportunities. But I think the main power of this move, with the meeple or without, is because it restricts the field by so much. The field went from having potentially 3 cities to actually having only 1 city, because this thing over here is so likely to remain a ruin. Oh, so so you're saying if your opponent connects, it will be a very blockable city. Yes, but like, you shouldn't assume that you will be able to block, because basically when you're ahead, you should be assuming that your opponent will get lucky. So like, you shouldn't rely on your ability to block. And you'd be surprised how these cities can close very, very quickly. I think I should... Okay, I know, maybe in my next analysis stream, I will show you the pattern of how these cities are closed quickly. I've had a game with Pindatron in which I was leading plus 20, and he like came back in 2 moves by completing a city exactly like this. Yeah, you see, now your opponent does this, and technically he has a way back in the game. So here he should be instantly equalizing. Yeah, I think here is a big mistake. So you're just kind of hoping for too much. Like, you're plus 18, why you need to risk? If you just simply equalize this city and play this up top, well, that's it. Like, the worst that can happen is a -2-point mini battle, but your opponent can easily get a curve. Your opponent can easily get the tile straight away. And also, if your opponent gets a curve, which there are many, many, many curves remaining, he now has secured this connection and has harassed your city and will start to block your city again. So this one's definitely a mistake here. So your opponent keeps blocking. Now here, you should probably... Yeah, but now it's a bit tricky. Like, it's not like you can do much. I guess you can go here. Here is not ideal. Yeah, you do this, and you sort of save their... But you're kind of forced to save their city a little bit, because you see, you now get a curve. You've reduced the number of blocking tiles that you have. You keep blocking from the other side, and that is good. Okay, they keep growing their field, and I think here you should absolutely complete the block. Did you do that? Yeah, okay, that's getting too greedy. In situations like this, you should definitely be completing the block, because this was such a powerful tile. First of all, you can still meeple the new city cap if you want, but not only do you block this city, you're also limiting its potential completely. Yeah, let's say, I don't know, if you manage to block successfully with something like this, then your opponent could still get like the quadruple city tile and some 12 points versus 1 for an investment of 1 meeple, and they can still come back into this game. Yeah, you see, so now they do this, and now you're forced to spend a much better tile on blocking your... Okay. You're really playing with some serious fire here. You cannot, like, here you have to block, absolutely. So this monastery is not going to give your opponent much. And I think you're just really hoping for too many good tiles. That's it. Your opponent now secures the city. Yes, they have only one. They have only one tile that fits here, but that's a 50% chance. And if you ask me, that's 50% too many. So they just came back into the game. Because if they don't do this, then they have no way back into the game. You continue building stuff, and you now get a fantastic tile. And your opponent starts building things. Again, because you're so ahead, I think the move here is to go here. Not continue your own city, but just equalize here. Prevent your opponent from finishing a city. Prevent your opponent from, yep, very good, from finishing your farm. So now they can block with tempo. I probably wouldn't bother here. I would just, yeah, okay, that's fine. I guess 75% wouldn't hurt. But the reason why I wouldn't bother here necessarily, because you're still ahead. And now you and your opponent are flipping here for the same tile. And the thing is, like, if you get the tile for your city, well, you win anyway, because your opponent doesn't get the tile for his city. But now I guess... Well, yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, there's definitely nothing wrong with saving this. You have a 75% for getting a... game-winning city, essentially. Okay, so you now get the flip for this tile, but it would have been instructive had the opponent gotten for this tile. Again, we gave him too many chances here, so you get bailed out. And now you probably all have almost secured the win here. You only need to, well, somehow block this city. They start blocking you. Yeah, and here... Okay, this is probably game-winning. I think you can even meeple the field here. Up to you if you want to do it. Yeah, because you can have meeples back. And there are some scenarios how these fields actually loop in together. So let's say your opponent finishes a city, then curve goes here, curve goes here, curve goes here. And then all of that unifies into a big field. And what I like to do, especially if I have a surplus of meeples, if the field is 6 points, and if there's even the slightly chance of it merging with the big field, then I like to meeple it. Because then your opponent will be reluctant to try and eat up all these cities with his one field meeple. Again, you're so much ahead. The way you win this game, you secure the 100%. You just take away your opponent's chances. All right, but let's see. Your opponent takes 2 points. You're probably going to get a meeple back, or are you going to... Yeah, you can definitely take a meeple back here. An alternative is just simply taking another city cap and getting 4 points. Your opponent gets 4 points himself. Oh, here I'm surprised why you did not attack the field. So the blocking attempt is good, but you have loads of meeples. You have 2 field connections for the field, and the thing is, again, you should be assuming that your opponent gets lucky, right? Because that's the only way how they win. So like when playing this move, you should have some sort of way to mitigate against them drawing the tile that they want on the very next move. And then at least you would have this field connection. Like, let's say if they draw this, you immediately do this, and then you have the field connection. Because remember, you should treat this field not as a 6-point field, but as a 9-point field because of this potential city over here. But let's see what they do. They make an absolutely brilliant move. Yes, exceptionally risky, but they have to do that in order to come back into the game. And they have, not only do they defend their city, they also have a chance to equalize your road. They're essentially equalizing your road. And they can even get a meeple back in some other ways before that. Let's say they could even like do something like this, like this, like this. In some scenarios, they get this, then they get a straight line, and they can actually eat up all this road with a second meeple once they do get a meeple back. So here, probably the best defense is to meeple the monastery. Yep, very good. And so if your opponent finishes a city, your opponent finishes your monastery. But you see, the difference is you could have had all the same things, but with a meeple here on the field as well. So that's why it's better to drop a farmer in a situation like this. Yeah, you continue your stuff. Your opponent gets the wrong kind of tile, so at least they can block you temporarily. Here... Okay, I think you're getting too greedy. Just take 3 points. Like, just take 3 points. I know you're pre-building stuff also with tiles that do not necessarily exist because there are no triangles remaining. Okay, but let's say if you don't know triangles, just like take 3 points, leave an empty city cap, and that's it. That's much better because like you just go for secure wins. Your opponent gets 1. Not only does your opponent get 1 point, your opponent's actually setting up something sinister. Because remember, they're so far behind. Here's what they want to do. And they know the tiles for sure. They want to draw the tile for this. Then they want to draw the crossroads and put it here. And then they want to eat up your road completely. And then they're right back into this game. So they're setting up something really, really sinister. Also, yeah, I actually lost a game yesterday to this kind of tactic. And even though I saw it, I got like greedy a little bit. And the game was completely winning. I was playing against this, you know, this secret Japanese master whose screen name was like, starts with D and it's just a bunch of consonants and numbers. Chances are it's like Pintatron's second account or some other Japanese master secret second account. I lost the game to the exact same pattern. The road was like 15 points, and they were also doing this, and I saw it, but then I decided to react to another threat. I decided to like block an empty city, and then they got the tile that they need, and then they got another tile that they need, and then they won the game by last point. So that was actually hurt me real bad yesterday because I had no business losing that game. So your opponent is setting up all these things, and you gotta try and prevent all that stuff. Yeah, they just keep building stuff here, where you get bailed out because they get the tile, because you get the tile that your opponent could have used later. And yeah, oh, and you do this thing. Oh, yeah. That's so nasty. I mean, of course your move is good, right? Because now you have like a 75% chance of connecting, and actually now a really high chance of winning, because essentially in order to win, you need to either draw the curve or draw this tile. So you need to only get 1 out of 3 high impact tile, and at this point is now like way more than just 88%. Okay, they get the thing, but you get the last city cap, and that prevents them from winning. Yeah, and that's where they concede, which actually, I discussed this. I don't like this necessarily, because I believe they should have fought on. I know that the lead is now insurmountable, but if they get both curves, then they can do this and get 3 more cities into the field. And then maybe meeple this field in the last move and get like 15 more points. So, yeah, they probably can't win, but they can come really, 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 really close. So, in the best case scenario, okay, let me see. They are now at -26, -25 because of this. Then this is equal. 4, 7, -18, -17. Then they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -11. This is shared. -2. So they are now only at -2, which means that if they get the 2 curve, they just win. This gives them 9. This gives them 6. Let's say they protect the field. You have a 6-point field here. And they win with something like +6. Maybe they resigned because they saw that you have a curve in hand. Yeah, maybe you had a curve in hand, because like I don't see with this position. So of course that's why this move that you played here was so important. That was like a really, really nice find. But yeah, this game that just goes to show you that this game was not sealed, and they were getting comebacks. So I think you played really well. Like the opening, you kind of blocked their cities where they had to block, and you defended your own cities where you had to defend. But later in the game, when you had this lead, I do think that you gave your opponent too many chances. One is definitely this city. Could have blocked many, many times. First of all, could have meepled it yourself. Then could have blocked it many, many times. In the end, actually didn't manage to block, and you had to rely on coin flip, so that's already 50% over here. Also, your opponent got this tile very, very late, so that seemed to work out as well. So yeah, up until 5 tiles from the end, it does feel like they had more win conditions. And for the future, when you are in the lead, you can really play more aggressively, kind of clamping down on your opponent's opportunities to get a lot of points, or like to get something that's gives them good odds of completing like a 20-point feature or something. And what else? I think also equalizing this field was also important as well, because not only it is a 9-point field, it is potentially an 18-point field with just 1 curve. But yeah, that was actually a very interesting game to look at. Even though sort of it was quite imbalanced, we can learn a lot from not just our losses, but from our wins. And I think here is what you learn is try to find ways when you're ahead to just clamp down on these 100%. I'm also foreshadowing a little bit one of my puzzle videos that is going to come out in April, but that's like several puzzles from now, because I've also ordered them in a certain way. Well, anyway, enough spoilers. Yeah, cheers, Splat. I appreciate the kind words. Yes, Elias, I was talking about the player from Vanuatu, exactly. Well, actually, you can look at that game as well. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna just show you the situation right now, as embarrassing as it is. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to. Yes. Perfect. We're doing a spontaneous extra game. Okay. I'm not going to analyze everything because like it's just super complex. I'm just going to fast forward to the thing. Okay. Azul. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm not in the best shape for Carcassonne. Yeah, here we go. 80, 79. Let's view this from my perspective. Oh god, that was so bad. Okay, yeah, so far so good. Anyway, you will see I have like a sizable lead and stuff. Let's go to move 80 maybe. Bulat is saying yes, so many mistakes. That's why I was in the top 200, not in the top 100. Well, that's all good because mistakes is the whole point of these streams. So that's exactly how we learn. All right, I started a little bit too early, but you see, I'm like plus 23. I have no business losing this game. I like do lots of blocking. My opponent is without meeples. I get like my stuff back. All is great. Actually, let's do tile counting because obviously we were both tile counting quite meticulously. I'm at plus 32. I have 2 meeples. Like, how did I lose this? Well, that's how. I think here I got overzealous in the blocking. I think the move that I should have played is something like this, and just protected my city connection indirectly. But again, also chance to secure the win. Yeah, they do this. Well, it's not like it wasn't a bad move, right? It did give me something. So now I get to connect, which is amazing. Now my opponent cannot get a meeple back. Again, how did I not do this? I had the chance to sort of block this opportunity, but I figured, you know, my opponent doesn't have meeples, and I decided to start blocking my opponent, which again, like, it's not a bad move. But they get their stuff back, so I've essentially wasted a move. Then scoring 3 points is not bad. I don't think it is bad, because I'm also taking away 3 points from my opponent, potentially. Okay, well, they take a 4-point road. I take a 3-point road. It's all fine. Oh yeah, now here's what happens. They recognize that they're far behind. Well, actually not like super far, because you see I am at plus 29, but minus 3 over here. So that's 26. Minus 1 over here. So that's 25. 4 versus basically minus 4 over here. So that's 21. Lots of losing mini battles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Minus 7 here. So that's 14. So I am at plus 14, which is still a lot, which is why they're trying this thing to equalize. And here, and the reason why they're doing this, they just want to flip for this tile over here. Which would give them 8 points. And I figured and now I was choosing between 2 moves, right? I wanted to go here with the idea of preventing a potential road connection, because I don't want my opponent to be able to steal the road, and also preserving my 75% chance of the city connection. Because you see, the problem also is that if they get this tile, they eat up this meeple, and I lose further points. But what I chose to do, I just choose to block this city, because, you know, my opponent could get one tile with... They could get 8 points with just one tile, right? And I'm ahead. I have to block these opportunities. And then I figured that I could do something about this on my next move. Because, like, with any city tile, I get to block this road. Or, you know, if I draw one of these 2 tiles myself, I'm good, right? But the thing here, I was so far ahead that it was wrong prioritization. Even though my opponent has much better odds drawing this rather than drawing back-to-back tiles to connect here, the latter is more impactful, and this is exactly what happens. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to go here. And that's it. Now, again, they have very low odds because they have 1 tile to go here, and I have 2 tiles to connect my city and block them. So actually, I think we had calculated this. I have about a 60% chance of benefiting from this situation. Or maybe even slightly more. I forgot. Yeah, because I just need to either draw a curve or draw one of this before a curve. But the odds here doesn't matter. It's like there's this theoretical possibility as well. So what's going to happen is that I kind of start pre-building roads for myself. They do the thing. Then I just couldn't find a move here. I think I just dumped this tile. Then they have this. Then what did I do? Yeah, I think I just like started pre-building a city. However, I could have considered meepling something, actually. I think I could have considered even meepling a city in the... Because if they do successfully finish the road, I get a meeple back. And if they don't, we both have without meeple. So I think the move for me here was to go here. But okay, now they did this, and yeah, I'm essentially lost, actually. Because they just scored 14 points, and they're 2 meeples up on me. And now what you're gonna see, I even end up with a surplus of meeples, which is why my previous move was a mistake as well. Now they do this, and I do get my connection for 7 points. Of course, it doesn't help that they win the final flip as well. So actually, here, if the tiles are reversed, if I win the final 50-50, I still win the game. And they lose, but they get 5 points. And I get 4 points. Again, with tile reversed, I win, but it doesn't matter. And I get 4 points, and as you see, I do lose this game. So I think many players in my position would like complain about luck. Oh, you know, you're so lucky. You got the crossroads, and you got the turn, and you got the final flip, and you got both CCCRs for the city connection, and you got this and that and that and that. Well, no. It's still on me. Like, I had no business losing this game. I gave them like, I don't know, like a 10% chance for a win in total, and they took their 10% chance. So that was like a huge misstep from me, allowing this 10% chance to happen. So that's for the theme of clinching the 100% and what happens when you do. When you don't. Yeah, hi Horim. We're just looking here at potential 100% wins, but that was a digression. Let's go back to the games of our viewers, and here we're going to view a game, an arena game. No, it's not an arena game. It's I think it was part of some sort of tournament. I don't know what tournament it was. It doesn't matter. But here we're playing as Red, as the player with screen name Nyamor, against Alona from Belarus. So the idea is like we're playing against somebody 200 rating points below us. So we should be winning this most of the time. Let's see how we try to do that. They start a field. Actually, this is not a great farmer. I think a road is better. Because you know what very often happens with a farmer like this? I'm going to show you. Okay, imagine that this is a starting tile. Oh, God, I've done this so many times to my opponents. Imagine this is a starting tile, so there is a road. And then, I don't know, on your next move, you get something like a curve. Yeah, let's say you get a curve as green. And you start a road here like this and you're happy. Then what do you think happens? As red, I get a straight line. I equalize the road. And I box in this field for 6 points completely. And then also, just to rub it in, I draw crossroads and win this 8-point road completely. Yeah, so I have 8 points in a meeple back, I have 2 cities, and you have a 6-point field. So that's why actually this farmer at the beginning is really not that great. Let me just turn on this. Elias is saying that brings horrible flashbacks to my game against Nocebo and the previous king of Carcassonne. If you want to send a link, let's see if we actually, I don't know, probably we might not have today, but we might have a look at it sometimes. Okay, but you're doing great. You are at +8. And your opponent is just going all out on the field. But the thing is, like, you can do things about this field later. Yeah, exactly. You just do this, and you can drop a farmer right after this. So here, you do this, you drop a farmer. And that's it, you're doing great. Despite their monastery. They finish this. Here, I think they quite timidly didn't meeple the city cap. I would meeple the city cap. Okay, because, exactly, you can do this. Here, there is an argument for them. Like, actually, this field is getting closed very quickly. There's an argument for them going here. And sacrificing the 2 points and meepling this road. Because, like, the threat of you dropping a second farmer is actually really, really severe. So I think here, this move is recommended. And then, then as green, you have a shot at this road. And then this monastery you can finish later. But they do this, which is not a very good move. Like, if you're not going to go here, at least you take 2 points over here. And then you pre-build a 3-point road next to your monastery. Like, you don't help your opponent like this. And I think maybe green didn't want to do this because they will be thinking, oh, I'm bringing red into the field. But you have to do this eventually as green. Because red can easily take a city cap, meeple, and then just loop around and get 2 meeples into the farm, circumventing the monastery. 2 points, fantastic. Now again, essential to block, like absolutely essential. That's okay. Anyway, this is your opponent is helping you so much. Here you do this, and this should be a win. It's actually very hard to get into that field, like very hard. Okay, your opponent meepling some risky cities. Here, probably blocking your opponent's monastery is not a bad idea. Yep, very good. Yeah, even without a meeple is fine. They do this. They will now drop a farmer, but you do not get the tile to defend. Oh, that's where the troubles start coming in. Yeah, you don't do that. You're helping your opponent too much. Like, because I know that it's important to block your opponent's city, but you don't get the tile to do that. If you don't get the tile, you don't get the tile. This is very often what I sometimes see in intermediate, actually in advanced level players like 500, 600, that they would have a certain goals and they would try to accomplish it with any tiles. Like, if you don't get the tile, then you don't get it. Then you have to do something else. I don't know, continue your road or something. But let's see what you do. just this. So if you're gonna do that, then at least drop a farmer. Because that's the whole point of what you're doing, right? You just gave them some points. That's what happened. Okay, now we should go here and block, right? Yeah, so very good. And they now... Oh, wait. Okay, I see what you're doing. Yeah, it's sort of restricting stuff here, but it really isn't. Because the thing is like, okay, I draw as green a road, and then I'm threatening to draw a curve and like finish it over here. And then if you want to block this square as red, you're forced to continue my road. So this move really just doesn't do that much. So far, but still, like, you're still in a very good position. Starting a new city, all fantastic. They do this, which could be a bit premature, but they figure that there's a 50-50 and they don't want to get two meeples tangled up. Okay, you get this, which actually I think is a bit impatient. I know it's not a bad move, you're creating a blocking platform, but the problem is they can easily get a curve, save their city, pre-build a 4-point road, and drop a farmer and equalize the farm. So that's why I'd like to wait for a better tile. Maybe I like to wait for a straight road here, perhaps. Then if you block from this side, they cannot do a 4-point road, and they cannot meeple the field. But now they can. But okay, we're still doing all right. And I think the thing actually over here, you were getting too desperate, because it's too early in the game. There will be field connections in the future. Like, if they equalize the field, it's not the end of the world because you are ahead on the field. But now if they equalize the field, they also get 7 points in a meeple back. So it's like such an impactful move. And when playing a low-rated player, you should assume that they are going to get the tiles. Which is, by the way, I sometimes see... there are some players in Board Game Arena who are like exceptionally good, whom I have a tough time against. But when they're playing lower rated players, they have quite a low win rate or an average win rate. So that's, for example, what Michael Rus from the previous game very often does. He basically like takes away rating from me and then just gives it to everybody else. And that happens because he plays the same against the 300 rated player. Okay, it doesn't matter. Like it applies to all levels. If you're playing somebody 400 rated points below you, you should probably play like a little bit less risky, a little bit less safer. And you know, Mikhail would very often go for like 75%ers, which again against a master player is great because like who can have a 75% win rate against a 700 plus? Pretty much nobody, not even other 700 plus players. But against a player who is like 400 rate points below you, you should be winning around 90% of the time. Whether if you are an expert who's playing against the 100, or if you're a master who's playing against the 300, or so on. But yeah, and so here, like, okay, you're thinking maybe, oh, you know, they're going to get lucky if they draw this. Of course they are. Because they're 200 points below you, so you should always assume that. But you make a great move here. Pre-building a road, that's great. And now you actually get to close the city. I think if you place it here, right? Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Because they have an abnormally large amount of straight roads available for them, and you're wasting a city cap. And also, like... you're creating a field connection. Or if you're gonna do this, just drop a farmer. Please tell me you dropped a farmer, but you didn't. Yep. Now this is what's happening. Okay, now I can see that. They connect here. They don't even save themselves. That's actually fantastic. And they do this. And you don't have much to do. You go here. You start a road. But actually, I think this is a mistake. Because this game now just became all about that field. These road points are not going to make that big of a difference for you. Also, you have a curve that you need here. And now you also need a curve here. and there are only 3 crossroads remaining, and your opponent can easily block you and block you here, and now you will need crossroads everywhere. So I think, and even if you get this meeple back, which you're the favorite to do, it will likely take some time, and during that time your opponent can equalize on the field. So it's just a matter of, this road is not where the game is. I don't know, just go here, drop a farmer. Just drop a farmer somewhere. It's really a simple game. Because your opponent does this. Also, you're probably going to do this, which would have been even more powerful with this city cap on this city, where it absolutely belongs. But okay. Huh. Yeah, let's continue. Of course they get the tile that they need because they're rated 300. That's how this works. That's how you should be thinking. All right, all right, all right. Taking the road on the left instead of 2 points. Okay. This is a good move. This is actually was important that you play this, because you prevent them from dropping a farmer. That's great. But also somehow you had like a gigantic advantage, and now they do this. And now I think it is absolutely essential that we drop our last meeple. There is one and only one move that you can play here, and drop a farmer. Because if you don't do this, you probably lose. Oof, but you didn't do that. Okay. Like about playing the last meeple. This field is worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 21 points. Probably 24 if your opponent gets this. And going here was just absolutely essential. Because your opponent is likely to let you in. And if he doesn't, then you have a 6 versus 4 mini battle. And you can let yourself in through this side. Or you can let yourself in at the very, very last move. Also, if you're worried about staying without meeples, you have 7 curves for here. And you have a couple of crossroads. And you have triangles at the very... or, you can really wait about getting your meeple back. Because you could just continue building your city, create some threats, and eventually get a curve. So I think this could be a potentially game-losing move right here. Again, like, this game is absolutely yours to win. And here, actually, I think your opponent does not play the strongest move. They finished their road, which is completely understandable, but what they should have done, I think, they should have went here, dropped a farmer, and waited for another road to then connect to do what you didn't, and then, win this field with a, like, 88% chance. Fortunately, they give you this gift, so please tell me that now you go and drop a farmer right here, which you absolutely have to do, but you don't. Okay, but now they will do that. Farmer? Of course. Here, yeah, that's doable, but... Actually, I think that's a mistake again. Yeah, well... I think the best move is to go here, because it does several things. One, it still keeps your city protected. 2, it keeps your road protected. 3, it actually makes it harder for your opponent to connect to the field. 4, it allows you to finish your city with less valuable tiles. Because it looks like you're only 1 tile away, but your opponent now can attack from both sides. And really, in this scenario, it's actually very, very difficult for you to keep the city. As opposed to this, look at that, there are 4 triple cities remaining. Where else are you going to use these 4 triple cities? You get to go here, and you got to go here. Like, this is what's in Dan Chart's The Book of Carcassonne is called lips, like a lip-shaped city, and you should be aiming for something like that. So that's another thing. That's a city building thing. But your opponent doesn't get a tile to attack your city, which is super fortunate for you. So as your opponent, don't take 2 points here. We're way past that point. You either go here and pre-build the connection, attack the city, or preferably you go here and completely clinch that field as your opponent. Yeah, that's one move. Oh, that's actually quite legit. Surprisingly, you, against all odds, win a coin flip against a 300 rated player. This is something that I've yet to accomplish. So, great job. Now, what could we do with that tile? One thing that I can see is... now, farmer here is kind of useless, but we can go here, build a city, then get to city cap and drop a farmer like this. And it does seem to be the best move. But you do this, and please don't tell me you drop a farmer. Okay. The problem with that move is that it is an exceptionally low probability to accomplish this. You see the little 3 here. But this means that you need to get this tile instead of these 2. So there are just so many moves. Yeah, they're just like, and there's an exceptional number of moves which how your opponent road over here, something like this. Then if you manage to save your city, your opponent will always be able to take this city cap and drop another farmer. So at this stage of the game, you're actually not that desperate yet. And also you're playing against somebody low rated. You can kind of try and swindle them and win the field outright with the majority. So I think the move here, well, there are 2 possible moves, is to either go here and drop a farmer like this on your next move, or turn the city cap the other way, preparing to finish the city with one of the 2 splitters or the triangles, and then attack the fields with something else, for example, from here. But let's keep going. You would have finished your city, by the way, and had loads of points. And now it's not, you can't really go here because, well, now you'll be subjecting your city to attack. And so you're forced to save your road, but you're also helping your opponents. And it's just so awkward. Also, your opponent helps you. If you're green, you never put a curve here. You wait, and you wait, and you wait, and you keep your opponent without meeples. And on the last move, you make the connection. That's how it works. Fortunately, green makes a mistake again. Like, he's kind of trying to fight for the field, which is great, because now your meeple is playing. And you now have a chance again. And maybe you can either start a new city like this, which actually I really like, or you can, yeah, because then you can finish a city cap, drop a farmer, or you can go here and block off this field connection. Both work well, but I think because this is so low probability, I'd rather let my opponent build here, build here, build here, and try to drop a farmer somewhere else. But we're gonna continue. Yeah, you do this. Good move, good move. Still kind of keeping the hopes of that alive. Your opponent gets one of the tiles that you need for your road. Now, this is the unfortunate situation of not having meeples. Probably here, actually, you know what? We're quite far behind. I think the move here is really taking this city. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8 points. We can still have a meeple back from here or here. There's an abnormally large number of curves. And it does look like typically if there's a big feature, you just take it. So that's a move to consider. This move, I don't feel great about because you just took away field connection from yourself. You are behind. You need the field connection, not your opponent. But okay, they do this, making it harder for them to connect. Which actually, I think it's incorrect because there were some chances how they go city cap, curve, and connect all the way here, and they just block themselves. Like what they should probably be doing is maybe like going here, probably without a farmer, or even with a farmer, and trying to block this. But okay, they are actually playing like for a 300 with a couple of like strong opening mistakes. They are playing pretty well for their level. You continue your stuff. They just do this. You get your meeple back, and now you can regroup and attack the farm again. They play an excellent move. They block a field connection. Now again, you can't really take that city, so you do this. Yeah, okay, so now you go for that idea, which is cool. They now don't block. Oh, man. You're getting so lucky. Like, this move, they could lose the game like this. The move for them to clinch the game, or, well, to make it much easier for them to win the game, is they place a triangle like this, and then you have no field entry. Well, technically you do through here, but it's also blockable. And they also are harassing your city. Now they're essentially deploying the last meeple. They're giving you the chance, man. You have to win this. They're building their stuff. They're hoping for tiles which don't exist. But okay, they're rated 300. They don't have to count all the tiles, and it's on you to win this game. So, okay, you now do a block, which maybe you were in time trouble. Maybe you didn't count tiles as well. But actually, here's another thing. If you are playing against, let's say if you're like a high-level player, like 500 plus, and you're playing against somebody who doesn't count tiles, it's actually better not to play moves like this, because if you know that there are no tiles that fit here and they don't, they will spend another tile on defending it. So a better move is probably to take this curve and place it somewhere here, and then hope that they like spend the tile on defending from both sides instead of trying to block your meeple. So yeah, it's kind of now sounds kind of Machiavellian, but you know, that's how you win games, okay? Yeah, so I admit to doing this all the time when playing against players who don't count tiles, okay? Let's keep going. Yeah, you just keep building, building, building. It's not much that you can do. You really need the city cap. Yeah, now you take the thing. But actually, how are you going to drop the farmer? Okay. Maybe I would have just placed it here without dropping a farmer. You get your thing, but you now don't take 3 points. And here's your predicament. They get a city cap. So now, of course, you get this, but you can't drop a farmer. So what? You missed out on 6 points, but you got 8 points. Okay, so that still makes sense. They do this, and then we have a curve and a farm. So yeah, so this plan didn't work out because again it was too risky. So again, lots of mistakes in this game, but that's great that you sent this to me because again we want to learn. And yeah, I sometimes like maybe make a I get like quite really critical when criticizing my viewers' games, but that's exactly what you want to, you know, have a look at every single mistake that we've made. So definitely I appreciate you sharing that. I hope some of that was instructive, but let's just go through this again. So first of all, the beginning, I think it was good, but then when you were leading by so much, you were like essentially winning this game, you just kind of started getting a little bit desperate and started using tiles not according to their purpose, adding this points to your opponent, then maybe here, the block, which was a little bit risky for you, even though that's a natural move. But then there were several moments where you kind of needed to realize how essential the field was. For example, here, last meeple or not last meeple, it's a very closed field. There's a time window to connect. It's hard to connect. You drop a farmer here, then you connect through this. Okay, or you try to create a connection here through the city cap, or you do this. Or you drop a farmer here, or you drop a farmer here. They had like many opportunities, but I think you went for the one which has the lowest probability. and also the one which actually kind of builds your stuff in a very awkward way. So I think it's all, the awkwardness started with this and it continued with this city cap, which absolutely belongs in your city, but okay, you don't do that. And then, yeah, this, the move that I think was the one that created the problems for you in this otherwise winning game. Because look at how many tiles you were forced to spend without getting any value. This? Oh, no, wait. So let's say this, which you could have used for your city. But then there's also this. Then these tiles. Oh, these were not that you drew, but like you potentially could have used them. Then you could have finished your city with a triangle and splitters. The tragic thing is probably both splitters, that you had to use them like this. That's another thing, like when you're planning the game, you have to, well, like at the highest level, you have to think about future tiles and you have to think about every single potential tile, how you can use them productively. And if you can set up your game in such a way that for every future tile you have a good use, then you're basically unstoppable. So yeah, but closed field fights have a time window. And that's the main takeaway from this game. And the second takeaway is don't get desperate. And the third takeaway is every tile has a purpose. And if you don't get a tile with which you want to accomplish your objective, then do it with a different tile and do something else for now. So this, and this would be the main things to think about. Again, thanks so much for sharing this game. Hopefully that was helpful. Now let me just look at the chat a little bit. The equivalent of playing Scholar's Mate in chess. Well, actually, yeah, like if you know that your player is likely to fall for Scholar's Mate, you should fall for, you should do Scholar's Mate. Even though it is like not objectively the best move, but actually that's exactly how chess works at the top level, because all these guys, they know the theory so well, and they know the best moves because they analyze the lines with their computer, that sometimes when they have an opening preparation, what this means is they play an objectively subpar move, which is like a few centipawns worse, or like a couple centipawns worse, in the justified hopes that their opponent will not be able to find the best response over the board. And in Carcassonne, you can kind of do something like this. You can sometimes play a move which is maybe like objectively not the best, but you know that it is harder for your opponent to play these type of positions. But of course, you have to really know like which move is objectively the best or not, which is easier said than done. Well, in the opening, it's pretty much should be obvious. I think in the end game or middle game, it's much harder. And just realize that there's a certain range of moves that you can play depending on the strength of your opponent. This is of course the one school of thought. I mean, if you always go for the objectively the best move, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Except for one situation, except for when you're so far behind that you need your opponent to help you in order to win. And then sometimes you can try and set up situations which make it easier for your opponent to make mistakes. Oh, that's great, that's great. So Elias is saying, I sometimes induce low-rated players to fight for 6-point fields and stuff like that. I do that all the time, and it sometimes works for like up to 600 elo. So yeah, careful about the 6-point field that you're fighting for. Whew. I think that should be enough for today. The good news is that we're getting quicker. I think our first stream lasted 2 hours, but today we managed to look at 3.5 games in 1.5 hours, even though the last game was like super complex, lots of mistakes to look at. So we're getting more efficient. Thank you for joining. As for the future plans, on Wednesday there is another scheduled video upload, and then there are probably going to be no streams for a while. Well, unless there may be some surprise streams. There are going to be a couple of scheduled uploads, 1 or 2 every week, until April. At the beginning of April, we're going to be doing our Games Against Subscribers stream, and closer to the middle of April, it's going to be viewer games analysis stream. So feel free to send me your games. Wins, losses, doesn't matter. Just has to be something worth analyzing. For the April stream, I already have gotten a couple of really good suggestions, but there are still slots available, and if I get like really a lot of suggestions like I did for the March stream, then I can even think about doing 2 streams. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.